Dr. Gornik, you talked about in your lecture an experience where you visited Europe and you experienced Taizé in Europe. Can you share a little bit about how this movement connects with young people and your ideals around flourishing?
So, thank you, Dr. Farmer. So, my wife, Rita, and my sons and my extended family are all connected to Hungary in Central Europe. And I remember when I first met Rita and I made my first trip to Hungary back in the 1990s. And there I found that in spite of the persecution and the suppression of the church, that faith was alive. That faith had really been alive. And one way it had been alive, a really particular way, a really life-giving way, was Taizé. And Taizé is a community, it's a place in France where it is a place of prayer led by a community of brothers and that young people have found their way to. And it's a community that has prayer 3 times a day, that has everyone involved in service, that has people from across Europe, from all different parts of Europe, come together and they do scripture study and pray and eat together. And they come together to learn to listen to God. And many of us are familiar with Taizé through its music, which is such a profound gift to the global church. But Taizé is more than the music. The music is part of this community. And so what I saw and have seen over kind of an observer over a couple of decades now is how Taizé has been a way through singing and through participation in their community life for young people who are outside of a traditional church, let's say, or maybe not deeply engaged in it, whether it's a Catholic community or Protestant community or other types of experiences in Europe. It's a way for them to live out that story, to sing it, to express it. The Taizé songs are often psalms or gospel hymns, and they're short expressions, and they're in multiple languages. They're in German, they're in French, they're in English. And it is God speaking in our own language and us hearing God and singing it with others. And Taizé also involves silence and listening. It's not as much about talking and saying what to do. It's not a taught model. It is an experience model where we claim a space to listen to God. And for adolescents, for young people to grow in their understanding of their own humanity, then being able to listen to God as to who they are and who God is one of the greatest gifts. And I think Taizé, not just Taizé as a music or as community, but Taizé reminds us that we all, whatever our faith tradition is or whatever our church tradition is, that listening to God and allowing other young people to listen to God and hear their own story, that is such an important part of their journey into their participation in the sacred narrative that parents and churches and parishes may hold so closely and want them to share.